Hello guys, good morning. This is Dr. Troubleshooting Fix today. I want to share some information with you guys, which the problem I'm currently having with it is a Pontiac Vibe. I suppose this should be 2008 model, or sorry, 26 model. And the issue with it is that the radiator fan here will not turn on no matter what. So I've come across this kind of situation before, but I was thinking that this is just gonna be a very simple, easy fix, but unlikely. It doesn't seem to be any easy fix. So if you run into this kind of problem, I've searched online to see if there is anyone who have that problem, who have solved it before, and I don't seem to have anyone who have actually had that kind of. People have had a problem, but they have not solved it. And the first thing which you want to do, trying to resolve this problem, the first is you want to test this fan and make sure that this fan is running. And I've actually applied a 12-volt power to its terminal, and it spun, but the speed was very moderate. It wasn't fast, even as I feed it with 12 volts. Now, the other test which I do perform in this kind of situation is, like in this case here, is to the ignition on. We have a problem with the Kickstarter, so okay. 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 What I was actually trying to say here is when you have this kind of problem, the first thing you want to do here after checking the fan feeding it 12 volts and it powered up is to turn on your AC system. You can turn it to low or turn it to the medium, which as soon as you turn it to request for AC on, automatically the climate control and the PCM should be able to know that you have requested for AC system, and therefore you should be able to override the coolant sensor parameter to turn on the fan on. But in that case, the fan is still not turned on. Then the next place you want to go is here. You have this two relay here that is actually for the low fan speed as much as the high fan speed. Then you have a 40 amp fuse here, which you also want to check, which is actually for the radiator. But either ways, all these three components, they are all fine. Now if you go over here to this very circuit here and you check very well, there is a big wire here, a very big gauge wire here, which is corresponding to this one, which I want to show you here. It's hard to pull, but if you look down there, you're going to be seeing a black wire with a red tracer there. So that same black wire with the red tracer is corresponding to this last pin that you can see over here. There you can see over here, this last one here. So if you want to test it directly to know if the radiator is fine, you can take a power from the positive terminal of this battery here and apply it to this very one here, and the fan should run. And that should be for temporary measure until when you find the solution. But in this case here, if you look at this very tray terminal here, this one here that you're seeing over here, the middle one, is getting power from this 40 amp fuse here, which is coming from the battery. Then you have this one on the left, the terminal on the left here, which is corresponding to this relay here. If you sweep it, this relay here, this very terminal here is corresponding to this one here, and that is the ground wire that is actually coming from the battery negative terminal. Then you have the right hand terminal here of the relay, and that very one there is where the power is missing. And in most cases, if you flip it the other way around, that should be the green wire. I don't have the wiring diagram for this very car, else rectifying this very issue should be very simple, not too hectic though, but it's gonna be quite a little bit difficult, because at this very case here right now, if you perform all these tests which I'm showing you right now and it doesn't work, and you apply a 12 volts power from this very battery positive terminal to the terminal here, this end terminal here, which corresponds to this very part of this relay here, and the fan spins, then you know that the fan is actually working fine. Then it's up for you to still go ahead and troubleshooting it. So like I said previously, these two relays are a corresponding relay that is powering up that fan there, and this one, based on my own evaluation, is for the high fan speed, while the black one is for the low fan speed. So technically speaking, the both of them are going to be having some sort of power coming from the PCM or the ECM control module, the engine control module, because the engine control module works with the AC amplification system, ECM, to actually determine when to power up the fan, either by AC request or the heat or temperature build up in the engine, which normally is supposed to actually start up the fan. But either ways, on here we have turned on the AC system, we have made AC request, we turn on the AC system, but the fan will not run. And we have also swapped this relay. You cannot swap this one here because this one here is a 5-pin relay, you can see here. So you can't swap it with this one because this one here is a 4-pin. So at that, the next thing you want to check here is you want to check the power that comes here, if it gets up to between 8 to 12 volts to the battery voltage when you start the car and you request for AC on. If there is no 12 volts power coming from this very pin here, which is corresponding to this pin here, then you don't need to look further. I think definitely maybe there is something very terrible that happened that actually shorted the relay circuit that is actually inside the PCM that controls the power that governs not just only the engine control module but also the fan. And for some of you who have advanced scan tool, you can actually go ahead and dive into the ECU mainframe through the interface right there and perform actuation testing through that your scan tool there, and request for fan on in the actuation or active testing or component testing, and perform that actuation testing there. If the fan powers on, then the PCM is fine, but if it doesn't power on, then definitely you have a PCM problem. But in this case here, I've used a multimeter, set it at a 12 volts range, and test between the ground here and the last pin that is here. And unfortunately, with that AC request on, there is no any power coming to that very place there. So since there is no power there, can conclusively say that there is a problem with the relay circuit inside the PCM. Therefore, replacing the PCM and reprogramming it into the car should be able to solve that problem, if that is exactly what the problem you're going through. Okay, aside that, I don't think there is any further way to be able to determine problem inside this car, because I have actually checked. I'm not seeing anything like a fan control module. For some cars have a separate fan control module. I think that is where the German cars aced it much more better, or the newer model of the Toyota or even the Pontiac Vibe aced it better, because I think for the 2008 to upward, the Pontiac Vibe fan control module is somewhere around here. So you don't have to go ahead and start changing your powertrain control module or engine control module to actually solve any problem concerning the fan not running due to a defective fan control module. So at least you have to replace the PCM and the problem should be solved. Now that you know how to solve the problem, I'll catch you guys later. This is Dr. Troubleshooting Fix. Bye for now.